Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing great. It's been a while since I've uploaded another video, and that's just because I've been really busy. We have quite a few gigs lined up for August, which is great after the whole COVID situation. It's fantastic to be almost on the road again. We're really looking forward to that. And we decided to delete half of the set list and start working on new songs. And at the same time, I had to get to grips with the FM3 and the Laney LFR 112, fine-tune them, tweak them, and make sure that I know the device inside out before I get on stage. And I would be really stressed if I didn't know how to problem solve things when they go wrong. So that's what I'm doing now, and it's taking up most of my time. We had a few rehearsals, and I've had some insights in the FM3, and I've changed a few things and I've added a few things, and that's what I wanted to share with you. First of all, the unit is fantastic. Since we play quite a variety of songs from the 80s with Project 80, I might insert our set list here, and you can see that the songs and therefore the sounds are quite varied, and I needed something that would cover that. I could do it with my pedal board, but it takes a lot of stuff, and I was even at the time considering 3 delay pedals, because some songs needed different delays than other songs, of course, and it was, if it's not programmable, you need separate units or pedals to do that. So with the FM3, everything is in one box. It's straightforward to use once you get to know it. The sounds are fantastic, the effects are really good, so that covers that. But there's a few things that I needed to add and change in order to make it work for me the way that I needed to work for me. So first of all, I've decided to program songs and not sounds. There's always this debate with loopers and modelers. If you're going to program sounds and then you just pull up the sounds when you need them, or if you're going to program songs and then the sounds are in the songs. I've chosen to do that. That's what I did with my pedal board and my Boss ES8 before as well. So I program different sounds, I put them as separate presets, and then when I work on the songs, I may pull those sounds from the presets I've saved and put them in that song preset to use. And of course, therefore, different songs may have the same sounds, the same basic presets, but I still copy them to a different preset so I can name them by the title of the song. And in every song, in every preset, every song preset, I have a maximum of 3 scenes that I allow myself to use, because the FM3 has got 3 foot switches, so I can access the 3 scenes with just one tap of the foot switch, and it works really well. But in order to be able to access the presets really fast and bulletproof, it was a bit of a problem, because once you're in preset view, you have 3 buttons, and every button has got a preset assigned to it. If you want to go to the scenes view, you want to pull up your scenes from that preset, you have to press 2 buttons to bring you to the preset mode, and then your 3 buttons function as scene selectors in that preset. So then you can choose your scene. Once the song is over, you have to get out of that mode again to take you back to the preset view, where you can access a different preset and then a different song. So that was a bit complicated, and I was sure that in a dark environment on stage, I might hit the wrong button and I might get confused and I might not be able to pull up the right sound in time. So I spent some time figuring out what I needed to do. I've been considering buying the FC6, but that seemed to be like a massive cost and an extra large unit on stage just to allow me to access those scenes. So after some research, I've decided to go with just a switch. And at the same time, I wanted a tuner to be readily accessible as well. And if you want to do that with the foot switches, I think you have to press 6 buttons in order to get to the tuner page, which is of course not possible live. You will make a couple of mistakes and then It might go totally wrong. So I've decided to use my old FS6 from Boss as a dual switch unit, and I wanted the A button to take me to the scenes menu once I've selected the preset, and I wanted the B button to be the tuner. So if I press that button, it brings me straight to the tuner and back out again when I hit it again. So I've done that. The good thing about this FS6 is that it's large. So compared to a standard smaller foot switch, and you have them with two as well, this one may fall over or turn over when you step on them, especially when you get carpet on the stage. So it's not very solid, whereas this one, it won't move. The other thing is you can use it as two separate pedals, A and B, or you can use a tip ring sleeve cable and then have just one cable running through your FM3 and use it as a one pedal with a TRS connection, and that's what I've done. So the tip is B and the ring is A. So the tip changes to the tuner and the A changes the view from preset to scenes and back to presets again. That was the idea, and it took me the biggest part of the day to get it programmed. The weird thing that I found out is that not everything that is in the FM3 can be accessed by the FM3 editor on your computer, which is really weird. So to program the A switch to go from preset view to scenes view, that was not too complicated. I could do it via the FM3. But to pull up the tuner with the B switch, that I couldn't do by using the FM3 edit. I had to go on the actual device to do that. So yeah, it took me a while before I figured out that there was a difference between what you could do with FM3 edit and what you can actually do on the unit itself. If I'm in my presets layout, if I press the A foot switch, it brings me straight to the scenes. So in that preset that I've just chosen, I can now, after pressing A on the FS6, access my 3 scenes. If I press the A foot switch again, it brings me straight back and I can go to the next tone. And then on my B foot switch, I've programmed it to bring me to the tuner. I've also programmed the B switch so that it cuts out the sound when I pull up the tuner. And the good thing is that you can decide where it kills the sound. If you do it at the end of the signal chain, it will be an abrupt volume cut. So all your delays and reverbs will also be gone, all your effects will be gone. If you do it at the beginning of your signal chain, then all the delays and all the effects will trail out while you're tuning, which is, I prefer massively, of course, because it sounds much more natural. And the other thing is that you can use the B switch as a kill switch as well, which is fun at times. If somebody's interested, as I said, I could do a separate video on how to program these two switches. Once I've done that, I could focus more on the sounds of the FM3 in the band context, and I've noticed something that I need to investigate a bit further. I think it has to do with the fact that I say fact now, but maybe it's not a fact, maybe it's not true, but that's how I feel it is, that a microphone doesn't pick up everything a standard amplifier and a cab produces. I think there is much more coming out of those units that a microphone doesn't pick up. And since the FM3 or any other modeler is also modeling the speaker cap and the microphone into the mixing desk, what comes out of the FM3 is not the total picture of what an amp can produce. And when you're rehearsing or when you're on stage, at least that's my experience, when I play, it feels like the frequencies coming out of an amplifier, a speaker cabinet, are sort of opened up. It means that the sounds coming out of the speaker cabinet are like spikes, and they penetrate the air and they mix with other sounds that come out of the drums and the bass amplifier and the PA system where the vocals are and the backing tracks are in. they entangle, they sort of connect. They're not fighting each other all the time. So a lot of the frequencies or the sounds that come out of an amp, of a guitar, can spike and not fight with other frequencies. And those things give you control over the perceived volume of your guitar. Whereas I think a microphone picks up a smaller portion of that sound spectrum, of those frequencies, and it's more like a closed sound. And when that closed sound enters the room where you are playing or the stage, it clashes against other sounds. There's no opening in the frequencies, so it's either or. So if you want to make sure that your guitar is heard more, you have to turn up the volume, and then the volume is louder, but that louder volume will block everything else from coming through. Whereas with an amp, with a standard amp and cap, if you raise the volume, these openings are still there, and the rest of the frequencies from the other instruments can still get through and be heard without them having to turn up their amps, which is a bizarre finding, I think, but it sort of explains why during the last couple of rehearsals my bandmates asked me to turn up the FM3 or the cap every now and again, whereas I thought it was loud enough, but some frequencies are not coming through and you couldn't control them because it's close, it's loud or quiet, and there is no frequencies wiggling through all the other frequencies already available. A bit more extreme EQing of your sound might help that. If you spike your sound a bit more, it might cut through the mix without you having to turn up your amp. If your spectrum is wide and closed, it will move forward as one entity. But if you spike your mixes a bit and you let some frequencies cut through the mix, I think you might get away with not turning up your amp that much and still be audible. And I think it might be a more pleasant experience for the listener, because if everybody's fighting for volume and space on stage or in a rehearsal environment, it might get a bit much. I've noticed that particularly when you are using feedback and sustained notes that you want to keep alive with a regular amplifier, I find it quite easy to keep them alive in the room, those frequencies, feedback, sounds, longer notes, by just manipulating my guitar a bit, the tremolo or tapping on the guitar, or moving the neck a bit, moving the fretted notes a bit more, so that these frequencies can spike through the sound. I find it much more difficult with the FM3. I can get the machine to feedback, no problem, that's not the issue, but it's those things that sparkle around the main body of the sound and volume, those things that people hear, perceive when you're in the room, that I think a microphone doesn't pick up, or doesn't pick up as well as you would with your ears when you're actually in that room. So yeah, I think a volume pedal might be needed to push some sound through every now and again when you need it to be there, much more than if you were using a standard amplifier and cap. So that's what I'm going to work on next, adding an expression pedal and see what I can achieve with that, because I would like to avoid getting into a volume battle and where everybody is just cranking up their amp. I don't think that is a solution. I think the solution is to finding your spot in the frequency. It's like when you're mixing an album, if you listen to isolated guitar parts from famous albums, the isolated guitar parts don't usually sound that good on their own. It's because they are equalized to fit the mix. And it's not the same thing as when you plug in your guitar in an amp in a room where you want the full spectrum and you want the warmth and the depth of the guitar to be present because you're playing on your own. It's different in a mix. And I think some of this is also true when you are using modelers. You have to be much more precise with your EQ than if you use a standard guitar cap. So there you go. These are my findings after 2 rehearsals with the FM3 and the Laney LFR 112. I've added the foot switches, love it. I've programmed the sounds in a way that I can work with them, love that too. And I've discovered something that I think I need to address that, to be able to make the guitar be in the room on stage without having to push the volume too much. So yeah, if you have any insights in this, let me know. I'd be really happy to learn from your experience. Looking forward to that. And guys, I will see you next time. Bye bye.